We'll move to the fiscal policy. Now, in fiscal policy, mostly they ask about components of budget, then FRBM Act, then they can ask about taxation. Mostly the budget. For example, you are giving prelims of 24, then the interim budget 24-25. If you are giving prelims of 26, then 26-27 budget. Means whenever you are giving prelims, that year budget very important for us. Now if you see the fiscal policy here, it deals about income to the government, expenditure and borrowings. Okay, now look at the first question. Which of the following are included in the capital budget of Government of India? They are asking us part of capital budget. Now, you know, budget is simply an estimated receipts and expenditure. So budget is simply an estimated receipts, that is a plus, and estimated expenditure minus. Okay, na? How much we are going to get. When we use the word income, see the word income, it includes like tax, but receipt, it can include even loans. So receipts is broader than income. So we use the word receipt rather than income. So budget estimates of receipts, budget estimates of expenditure. We use the word BE 24-25. So estimates. So here there are two budgets. One is the revenue budget, one is the capital budget. They are asking us components of capital budget. Tomorrow they can ask about components of revenue budget. Then within that, they can ask income side, expenditure side. So like that, there are four possible questions here. Whenever the word capital budget is there, it deals about either assets or liabilities. Assets means we will get the returns in future. Liabilities means you have to pay back. Let's say we borrowed money from SBI. So for us liability, for them asset. Let's say you have a house in Karol Bagh. Monthly you are getting some rent. That is your asset. So capital budget deals either assets or liabilities. Revenue budget, neither assets nor liabilities, generally recurring in nature. For example, when government is spending on salaries, pensions, subsidies, so that is a revenue expenditure. When government is spending on construction of school, bridges, dams, that is a capital expenditure. When government is receiving through GST, income tax, corporation tax, revenue receipts. When government is receiving through disinvestment or privatization or sale of their properties, some buildings, that is a capital receipt. Now see, which of the following are included part of capital budget? First option, expenditure on acquisition of assets like roads, yes, roads, buildings, machinery, yes, it is a part of capital budget because assets are created. Where one is not there, eliminate. Then second option, loans received from foreign countries, yes, foreign governments. You know, liabilities. So assets and liabilities. When government is borrowing, capital receipt from the debt side, debt receipts. When government is receiving through disinvestment, non-debt capital receipt. So 2 is right. Third, loans and advances granted to the states and UTCS. When central government or union government giving loans to, let's say, UP government or Delhi government, so they will pay back with interest. So indirectly it is the asset for central government. So anything related to the assets and liabilities part of the capital budget, like construction of schools, hospitals, dams, bridges. Let's say there is a defense infrastructure, capital expenditure. But when government is spending on salary to army people, salary to IAS officers, pension, subsidies, that is a part of revenue expenditure, revenue budget, don't confuse. Okay. Next question. So what is the answer here? So answer is 1, 2, 3 is correct. Let's move to the next question. With reference to the union budget, which of the following covered under non-plan expenditure? See, traditionally friends, we use expenditure like developmental expenditure, non-developmental expenditure. When government is spending on like irrigation projects, eradication of poverty, sanitation, schools, hospitals, development. When I say non-development, spending on defense, law and order, etc., non-developmental, one classification. Currently we don't use. Then a plan expenditure, non-plan expenditure. Okay, na? See, previously we had five-year plans. When we got independence, we established the Planning Commission of India. It has a financial powers. So Planning Commission make 5-year plans, they allocate some funds. So whatever we are spending, according to those Planning Commission or according to those 5-year plans, plan expenditure. For example, construction of schools, dams, they mention in the 11th plan or 12th plan, these many schools will be constructed, these many hospitals, this much length of road. So these are all plan expenditure. Other than those is non-plan. For example, salaries, pensions, subsidies, defense, maintenance, these all are non-plan expenditure. So currently we are not using plan and non-plan also. Currently we use revenue expenditure, capital expenditure. Revenue expenditure, recurring expenditure, and neither assets nor liabilities. Assets not created, liabilities not gone. So revenue expenditure. Capital expenditure, either assets created or liability gone. Let's say I borrowed money from you, I am government, I am repaying loan. So expenditure for me, capital expenditure. So, but liability gone. That is what exactly capex, capital expenditure. Okay, here defense expenditure is non-plan, yes. Interest payments also non-plan, yes. Subsidies, sorry, salaries and subsidies. So answer is all the above is a part of non-plan expenditure. So that is a question came in 2014 prelims. Let's move to the next question here. This question came in 2015 prelims. What was the question? There has been a persistent deficit budget year after year. Generally, if you see the majority of the economies, most of the countries follow deficit budget. Intention is welfare of the people. Now listen here. When income is equal to expenditure, balanced budget. When income greater than expenditure, a surplus budget. When income is less than expenditure, a deficit budget. So here they are asking us, there has been a persistent deficit budget year after year. Which of the following actions can be taken by the government to reduce the deficit? Here they are asking simply, what government can be done to reduce the fiscal deficit or the deficit here. Now, always remember like this, fiscal deficit is equal to expenditure minus income, or you may say total expenditure minus total receipts excluding borrowings. Okay, so excluding borrowings. In other words, you may write total expenditure minus revenue receipts plus non-debt capital receipts. So there are multiple ways to write fiscal deficit, but simply remember, to reduce the fiscal deficit, there are options like this. Expenditure minus, expenditure को कम करना चाहिए, expenditure should reduce, income should increase, or expenditure should be same, income should increase. Okay, so like that you can see the options. They are asking us what should be done. First option, reduce the revenue expenditure. Yes, when you reduce the revenue expenditure, what is revenue expenditure? When you are spending on salaries, pensions, subsidies, revenue expenditure, overall deficit may reduce. Yes, right option. Eliminate B. Introducing new welfare schemes. Always remember, whenever, doesn't matter reason, whenever outflow means money is moving from the government expenditure, so it leads the deficit. So 2 cannot be right option, so eliminate 2. Automatically D gone. Now left with 1 and 3 and 1 only. What is 3? Rationalization of subsidies. Yes. What is rationalization? Some people argue we are not against subsidies. We are against the rich people should not get subsidies, for example. Okay. So we are rationalizing who is the genuine, who is not genuine. So when you rationalize, we target better by using DBT, direct benefit transfer. So we may reduce deficit. So third option is right. So 1 and 3 is right. So A is the correct answer. But look at 4. Expanding industries. Generally when expanding industries, you might have heard before 90s, we launched so many PSUs. Sometimes they were loss making and government has to fund through budget. So that is not a good option. So here 1 and 3 is the correct answer, correct answer. Now if you practice 2015 paper, friends, look at 16 question. 16. This is the advantage of the solving the previous year questions. We'll get an idea what type of question they were asking, where they are asking more, etc. See, there has been a persistent deficit budget year after year, deficit budget, okay. Which actions of the following can be taken by the government to reduce deficit? Reducing revenue expenditure? Yes. Introducing new welfare programs? No, already we know. Rationalization of subsidies? Yes. Reducing import duty. See, if you reduce any taxes, for example, excise duty, customs duty or GST, any tax, income to the government reduces. So it is going to lead more deficit. So definitely fourth is not right option. So answer is C for Chennai here. So C is the correct answer. So simply remember, whenever government is spending, so deficit it may lead to deficit. Whenever incomes are there, for example through IGST, better targeting, lowering their expenditure, fiscal consolidation, so reduction of unwanted expenditure, like revenue expenditure. People say revenue expenditure is non-qualitative. We spend, let's say defense expenditure, we spend a lot on salaries, pensions, etc. So that is called non-qualitative. For example, schools, we spend more on salaries to the teachers. So that means here, whenever there is a revenue expenditure, maintenance like salaries, pension, subsidies, people argue, let's reduce it. So answer is C for Chennai here. Next question. In India, deficit financing used for raising resources for. Again, when we have a deficit, we have to fill the deficit by borrowing, friends. So generally, when we are borrowing from RBI by printing new currency, okay, na, it is not a good option generally. So that is called deficit financing. Or they are borrowing through ways and means advances, WAMs, by issuing treasury bills, etc. Okay, so here they are asking us the purpose of deficit financing. Why we borrow, first of all, indirectly? What is the purpose? Here, economic development, redemption of public debt, no. Balance of payments, no. Reducing the foreign debt. Answer is A. So whenever government is borrowing, the intention is welfare of the people, welfare of the people. So economic development is the answer.